Hello there, and welcome to Caitlin's Movie Reviews. Today I'm reviewing the 1991 film Fried Green Tomatoes. The film follows housewife Evelyn Couch as she is told a fascinating story by nursing home resident Nanny Threadgood. The story revolves around a free-spirited woman named Idgie Threadgood and her friendship with another woman named Ruth. As Evelyn learns more about Idgie and her life, she begins to want to change her own. The main conflict of the movie emerges when Ruth's estranged husband, Frank Bennett, goes missing after trying to take back their child. The authorities begin to believe that Idgie and her friend Big George are responsible. Throughout the movie, the question of who actually killed Frank is present. To begin, let's judge the historical perspective of the film. There are three major historical events and ideas portrayed in the movie. The first one of these is the prevalence of racism in the South during this time period. The movie takes place in Alabama, a place of extreme racial discrimination following the Civil War and Reconstruction era. Specifically, the movie mentions and shows the Ku Klux Klan, a white supremacy group that is notorious for its racist views and terrorism against African Americans. In my opinion, this event is portrayed very accurately. Considering the setting of the movie, it makes sense for there to be the presence of the KKK. Also, the film touches on other aspects of discrimination during this time period, such as people refusing to eat at the cafe owned by Idgie and Ruth simply because African Americans worked there. Another historical event portrayed by the film is the aftermath of the Great Depression. Early in the movie, there is a scene that shows a camp of impoverished people. When Ruth and Idgie pass by this camp as stowaways on a train, they begin to throw canned goods and vegetables from the car to the people in the camp. The Great Depression, caused by a massive stock market crash, caused thousands upon thousands of people to become extremely poor. With these facts considered, it becomes evident that the way that the producers represented the aftermath of the Great Depression is pretty accurate. The final historical event shown in the movie is the prevalence of sexism in society at this time and the emergence of the second wave of feminism. Ruth's husband Frank consistently showed his sexist views, even going so far as to abuse Ruth. The second wave of feminism is present in the fact that Idgie continuously goes against typical gender roles. An example of this is the fact that she never married nor had any children. I believe that both of these aspects of life as a woman during the 1920s were portrayed accurately. While this might be a bit unorthodox for most movie reviews, I'm going to reflect on two AP US history themes that the movie relates to. The first of these themes is beliefs in the United States. The movie connects to this theme in multiple ways, with the two main ones being representation of religious importance and the presence of racial discrimination. In the movie, church is shown a lot. While the main character Idgie does not personally go to church, the idea that it is important in society is still present. During the 1900s, especially in the South, religion was a large part of the community. One example of this is a church scene early in the movie. Another aspect of this theme that is explored is racial discrimination. This is represented in more subtle ways, with people showing disdain for the African Americans working at the main characters' cafe, and in more extreme ways, with a scene of KKK members whipping an African American man. The other theme that the movie can be related to is American and national identity. In the case of this movie, focusing on regional identity creates this link. The small town where most of the movie takes place is located in Alabama. The people in the town are very close, forming a sort of family within the area. The identity the town creates for itself is an integral part of the movie, as it helps the main characters build on their own identities. I believe that this film contributes a lot to knowledge of 1900s America. Typically, movies set in this time are focused on the North and the developments in that region. However, to my knowledge, there are very few movies that represent life in the South during this period. I believe that the movie is good in showing what life was like for people in the South, showing it in a more wholesome way, while also including the more serious topics. Now let's review the literary perspective, starting with the rhetorical situation of the movie. The speaker of the film is author Fannie Flagg, who wrote the book and co-wrote the screenplay for the movie. Flagg's exigence for writing the novel was a story her mother told her. Her mom told her that when she was going through a rough time, having friends helped her through it. Flagg then decided to write a book representing the importance of friendship and the deep bond people have with their friends. She also wanted to show the closeness of Southern communities. The intended audience for the book and for the movie is anyone who may feel lost or stuck in their lives. By showing Evelyn deciding to make a change in her life, it could inspire the audience to take back control of their own. The movie is also meant to show that close bonds with other people can make a difficult time less stressful, meaning that the intended audience could also be anyone who is going through a rough time. The movie has two main messages: that having bonds with other people can make your life more fulfilling, and that it is never too late to change into the person you want to be. One important part of film and literature is rhetorical strategies. Some of the rhetorical strategies I found include a paradox and two examples of symbolism. The paradox presents itself when one of the main characters, Evelyn Couch, is reflecting on her life and regretting where she has ended up. While talking about her regrets with another character, Ninny Threadgood, she states, "I'm too young to be old and too old to be young."
I'm too young to be old, and I'm too old to be young.
The paradox shows how Evelyn feels stuck in her life, believing that she is at an age where she can't change anything. She feels as though she hasn't fully appreciated her youth, while also believing that she is not old enough to consider it gone. The quote makes the audience feel sorry for Evelyn, as she is going through a life crisis that she did not realize was occurring until now. However, the quote can also make the audience feel hopeful, as they begin to believe that Evelyn will find a way to change her life. The first example of symbolism lies in the object that the movie is named after, the fried green tomatoes. Typically, green tomatoes are seen as failures, since they have failed to ripen. However, in the movie, they are the main dish at the cafe owned by Ruth and Iggy. Instead of throwing them away, the women fried them so they could still be a good dish. The tomatoes are supposed to represent the two girls. Even though they didn't become what they were expected to become, they still found a way to be happy and leave a mark on those around them. The second form of symbolism lies in the use of trains. In the movie, trains are meant to symbolize both life and death. While Iggy and Ruth live in the town, a train passes through often, representing the vitality of the area. However, after Ruth dies and people leave the town, the train doesn't pass through anymore, showing that the loss of life in town has occurred. While trains in this context represent the life that exists in the town, they are also meant to be a symbol of death. This is shown when a train kills Iggy's brother and when a train is present when Ruth's husband Frank is killed. Like all other media, this movie has an argument. The argument in the movie Fried Green Tomatoes is that people, in this case women, do not need to conform to typical gender roles in order to be happy. While the book and the movie were created long after it was expected for women to marry young and have children, the flashback scenes are where the argument lie. Despite the fact that many men want to marry Iggy, she chooses not to marry or have any children. She also chooses to wear shorts and pants instead of the skirts women were expected to wear at this time. Even though Iggy does not marry, she is still very happy and successful. The author, Fanny Flagg, uses the novel to argue that women do not need to settle down to have good, fulfilling lives. In my opinion, the argument is completely valid. However, it can be viewed as biased since it is such an extreme example. Overall, I genuinely enjoyed this movie. It was a very wholesome, feel-good movie that still managed to address serious topics in a way that wasn't depressing. With all of these literary and historical factors considered, the movie is a good way to get a feel for what life was like during the 1900s. The movie kept me entertained throughout, with the plot twist being something I did not see coming. If you are looking for a nice movie about the importance of friendship and the fact that it is never too late to change for the better, I highly recommend this one.